It was US President Donald Trump for a third consecutive day alleged that $21 million were granted to India for what is called a voter turnout. His claims have already triggered a heated debate between the BJP and the Congress party. Both parties trading barbs over each other on the claim. Now, the BJP has lashed onto the claim to accuse the opposition of possible attempts of foreign interference to manipulate Indian elections. Congress has demanded an apology from the BJP government. In the latest, sources say that the Ministry of Home Affairs is set to launch a probe into the matter, and it would be a multi-agency, deep probe into those allegations, because Donald Trump has once again rigged up the matter. And take a listen now to what he said in the latest.
Well, why are we giving $21 million to India? They got a lot of money. They're one of the highest taxing countries in the world in terms of us. We can hardly get in there because their tariffs are so high. I have a lot of respect for India. I have a lot of respect for the Prime Minister. He just left, as you know, 2 days ago. But we're giving $21 million for voter turnout. It's voter turnout in India. What about, like, voter turnout here? Oh, we've done that, I guess. We did $500 million, didn't we? It's called the lockboxes. Wow, $21 million. I guess they were trying to get somebody else elected. Well, we ought to tell the Indian government, because when we hear that total breakthrough, $21 million for India elections and $21 million for voter turnout in India. Why are we caring about India turnout? We got enough problems. We want our own turnout, don't we? Can you imagine all that money going to India? I wonder what they think when they get it. Now, it's a kickback scheme. You know, it's not like they get it and they spend. They kick it back to the people that send it, I would say, in many cases. Many of these cases, anytime you have no idea what we're talking about, that means there's a kickback, because nobody has any idea what's going on there. $29 million to strengthen the political landscape in Bangladesh. Nobody knows what they mean by political landscape. What does that mean? $21 million going to my friend Prime Minister Modi in India for voter turnout. We're giving $21 million for voter turnout in India. What about us? I want voter turnout too, Governor. $29 million to strengthen the political landscape in Bangladesh. Went to a firm that nobody ever heard of. Got $29 million. They got a check. Can you imagine? You have a little firm, you get 10,000 here, 10,000 there. And then we get $29 million from the United States government. There are 2 people working in that firm. 2 people. I think they're very happy. They're very rich. They'll be on the cover of a very good business magazine pretty soon.
Former diplomat Deepak Vohra joins us on the broadcast. Thank you so much, Ambassador Vohra, for once again joining us, Republic TV, on the matter. And it's a big statement once again for a third straight time. 3 statements by the US president in 3 days. He has spelled it out very well. We saw the left lobby, we saw the Lutyens lobby in a meltdown yesterday, trying to obfuscate that he was talking about Bangladesh, he was talking about Dhaka, not Delhi. But it's clear, once again he was saying that why does India need $21 million aid? I want that amount of money for US elections. And now the Home Affairs Ministry is also stepping in, and they are all set to expose these sellouts from US, and who are being, in fact, orchestrated from US into India.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And can you see me too?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. Right now, I'm in a beautiful place in a city called Bengaluru. At the there's a presidency group of institutions talking to kids over here, and they're all asking me about the elections, about USAID. What do I tell them? Ma'am, do you mind adding an S to USAID so it becomes USAIDs? That's what it is. Corrupting people, destroying their health. Now my question, and I still don't have an answer, ma'am, maybe you can give it to me. How do you increase voter turnout? Do you go to people's homes and bribe the voters? Come and vote? Or do you send a car? Or do you send a truck? Or do you ask journalists? And USAID took down its earlier website, claimed that they had spent money training almost 7,000 journalists across the world. Or do you bribe journalists to write that voters in regional language newspapers, what we call the vernacular, that please come and vote for this fellow? Otherwise, what is this about voter education? Next, they'll be spending money on teaching me how to use a fork and knife. I don't need that training. Thank you very much. So I believe it's a scam, ma'am. It's money laundering. We know what's going on in Ukraine. Something that costs $5 is sold to Ukraine for $100. This has been documented. So the U.S. defense manufacturer makes 95. Half of that he sends to the senator and the congressman who has approved that money. The same is happening in USA. Donald Trump is absolutely right. Why do you need to spend that money? What for? How will it impact voter turnout in a country where 600 million people vote or whatever the figure is? How will $21 million get another 20 or 30 or 50,000 voters? How is that going to change the outcome unless it's in a constituency where the battle is narrow and you're focusing on that? In which case, who's telling you to go there? Is it your own informers in India? So, ma'am, we have to get to the bottom of this because the world, let me say this very carefully, the world is watching the lead that India is taking. I've served in a country where the president in my home, having dinner, has said, Mr. Ambassador, I won't be around long enough. USAID is funding people to throw me out. Well, he went out. He's now in jail. He had told me this, and I'm sure that they were up to no good. The fact is they don't like the present regime because, like Donald Trump says, America first, our Prime Minister says India first. And they don't like this man. Period. That's it. They are trying to topple the present government. I can promise you, millions of people watch your show. I'm an ambassador of India. Let me promise you, they are not going to succeed. We are far too strong. This is not India. This is Bharat. अरे भाई अगर हिंदी सुनते हो ना समझते हो तो हमसे पंगा मत लेना. We'll get to the bottom of this. Our intelligence agencies, investigation agencies are the best in the world. So don't mess around with us.
Absolutely. But as you said, sir, we will be getting down to the bottom and the root of the entire issue to, in fact, just, cut out the entire root here. But how do we go about it? What all, when we talk about the MHA going in for a deep probe, a multi-agency probe, what all angles will be there for the agencies to be investigated?
That's a very intelligent question you've asked me, ma'am. Brilliant. Thank you. No wonder you are the best. What will we probe? We'll probe the money trade. This is an era of banking. And in the era of banking, it's very easy to find out where the money is coming from. Of course, what they did, ma'am, we did this with the Ford Foundation also some years ago when they were messing around. They were funding those protests, if you recall, against Kundakulam nuclear power plant project in southern India because we were doing it with Russian technology. American companies would have been very happy to give us their technology. So they started all these protests. And I was there, ma'am. I went there and I asked some of the local people in their language, I speak a bit of Tamil. I said, what are you protesting against? They said, we don't know. Some NGO gave us money. So since 2003-4, when we do not accept international aid, except on a case-by-case basis, as we did during COVID, they've started giving this money to NGOs. And because we're able to trace banking channels, like with Ford Foundation, we froze their accounts and said, you can't do it through banking channel. They started withdrawing cash and giving it. That too will be probed. Who were the recipients? What was the interest of the NGOs who don't even exist? What is their interest in increasing voter turnout? Now, once all this comes through, I think we will put this in the public domain. Mr. Trump, President Donald Trump, thank you very much. You put it in the public domain. India will put it in the public domain. And then you can chase your predecessor, as I'm confident the present government in India will hold its predecessors to account over this kind of blatant interference, attempts to influence the outcome of our elections.
Right, sir. Ambassador Vohra, thank you so much for joining us on Republic TV with your thoughts and your views on that matter. Viewers, we continue to track more updates.